All right, so I've been installing these engineered hardwoods, the Duralux. I'm just learning some things along the way, and I'm going to show you what I did. First of all, open the box like that. Really easy. Take these out. You want to have a gap between your wall and the edge of each board on each corner, all walls, so there's expansion with temperature and moisture. And what you do is you just slide these in the tongue groove, push till it's snug, and then just push down. And it locks in place. Another thing to note, you always want to, or I recommend having the male side out. Just makes everything go together easier. So when I take my next board, I can lay it in the groove, and it's gonna click in there. And you can have almost a little bit of overlap, but not too much. And then you take, I got this tool here with this door, and what I do is I lay it like that, so the short side's on top of the new board. So you can see the short side is on top of the new board. And then I'm just gonna hammer from this side over, starting with the short side, and it just kind of lets it all just click, slide in and click in. It also allows it to, because you're orienting it like that, it can let the board slide over as you're hammering it. I'm also gonna try to get on this side, put my weight on this side, just to keep it steady so it doesn't pop out. Another thing with this tool, I lay it like that, and I'll just put some weight on the edge where I just hammer it in, and I'm just gonna tap it like that, just to fill in any gaps and make sure it's all nice and tight. One thing I didn't mention earlier is you wanna make sure you have your floor very clean, smooth, no grit or blemishes on the surface that can rise up and create a sort of echo sound under the boards. I laid down plastic as well. It's supposed to be a vapor barrier. I don't know if you really need that or not. I didn't put it everywhere, but it's easy to do, so I just did it. And I suppose it keeps dust down and things like that, but again, I'm just gonna keep doing that, laying boards down along the length of this. One thing I'll do with each board is tap them in, especially at the joint. So right here, it's really important to make sure at this joint is everything's aligned right, so the next board doesn't have any gaps, and make sure there's good, a good fit between the boards on the next row. When you get to the end, you're gonna wanna measure and cut to the length, that you need to get to the edge. But what I do is, even though this is the side I want here, the female here and the male here, I'm gonna flip it around when I measure it, as you can see. And that will tell me how far over I need to measure and mark my point to cut it. So this is the side I'm gonna get, and that will allow me to make sure that I'm gonna keep that female side, because that's gonna go up against here. If I cut it this way, right, I'm not gonna have that female groove that's gonna connect to here. So I just flip it around, measure right here, and cut. So once I have that installed, again, I'm gonna tap it again, make sure it's in there good. And this tool, again, comes in handy because it's got a short standoff and a long. And this short one allows me to put it on the wood without putting force on that lip, because that will crack easily. So this is going to sit on top of that and allow me to hammer it without damaging the gray part. That's in. You can take your remaining piece, which is already set up for you because you got the female sides cut, and down there now, you got the male side here. So now you can start your next row with that piece, and usually it'll be different than the one before in terms of length, so that way it's staggered. You don't want these to be all these seams to be lined up, and so it allows you to not waste material. So just keep working yourself down the line, the same direction each time, cutting the same way. Don't worry about the corners. That's going to get covered with corner round. So those little edges, don't worry about those. As long as it's within ½ an inch from the trim, the big trim, you should be good. And then the small corner round will go below that. That will keep the planks down as well and help secure them. So just keep going down. When you get to the end here, don't try to you can, but I didn't bother to try to cut evenly with the geometry of this trim. I just cut the bottom off, and I'll just slide the trim underneath of it. And I was saying earlier, flip it around when you're cutting it, the opposite direction it's gonna lay. But once you get to this artistic stuff where you're trying to fit things, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Fit it just the way it's gonna be. That way you don't make any mistakes and everything lines up right. So I'm just gonna move some of this material and get this plank installed, and I should be just about done. Same thing when you're getting to the end. I would recommend, as you're cutting these thin to fit the last row, don't flip them around, just measure them just like just as they're going to sit, and just measure that distance that they need to be from the edge and make that your point that you're gonna cut. So measure your distance from the edge to your board and find out how long that's gonna be on your new board and cut to that length, and do the next measurement on this end, from the wall, and measure that onto this side of the new board. One other thing, as you're cutting, highly recommend wearing a mask. This stuff is not good to breathe. So hope this helps.